The general who became a slave. The slave who became a gladiator. The gladiator who defied an empire.
Yo, dudes, the Empire's pretty chill. Maybe you could, join it or something.
Hey everyone, Lucimus Prime here. So, it's time for a special movie review today, where today I'm going to be reviewing what is one of my all-time favourite movies ever. This is actually my favourite movie from the year 2000 as well, and it's also my favourite film, of course, which involves the ancient Romans as well. And this film, of course, is none other than 2000's Gladiator. So, this, of course, was released in 2000, and it's directed by Sir Ridley Scott, and it's a historical epic movie. So, now how was this film made then? So the screenplay was initially written by David Franzoni, and it was inspired by the 1958 Daniel P. Mannix novel Was About to Die. The script was acquired by DreamWorks Pictures, and Ridley Scott signed on to direct the movie. Filming began in January 1999 and wrapped in May of that year. Production was complicated by the script being rewritten multiple times and by the death of cast member Oliver Reed, may he rest in peace. He unfortunately passed away before production was finished. And to work around, of course, him passing away, they had to use outtakes of his character in scenes and also use body doubles as well to work around this and to complete the movie. That was, of course, a complication that happened alongside, of course, the script being rewritten several times. The film premiered in Los Angeles, California on May 1st, 2000. The film was then released 4 days later on May 5th in the United States by DreamWorks and internationally on May 12th by Universal Pictures. The film grossed $465.5 million worldwide, becoming the second highest grossing film of 2000 after Mission Impossible 2, and won 5 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Actor for Russell Crowe, who appears in this film as the main character. When it comes to my reaction to this film then, so I have seen this film several times in my life, and I saw this film for the first time, I think, when it was on Netflix, and I've got to say that I absolutely adore this film, and it's definitely, for me, one of my all-time favourite movies I've ever seen in my life, and it's definitely my favourite movie from the year 2000, and I still can't believe it didn't beat Mission Impossible 2 when it comes to box office, because I personally hate Mission Impossible 2, but yeah, this is one of my favourite films of all time, an absolute masterpiece, my favourite film involving the ancient Romans, and if I had respect for Sir Ridley Scott, which I unfortunately do not, because I personally think he's a disgrace nowadays, I would regard this film as my favourite film by him as well. In my opinion, it would be his best movie for me. If I was to have respect for him, I'd say it's his best movie. So, now what is the movie about then? So, this movie, of course, tells us the story of the Roman general Maximus Decimus Meridius, who is betrayed when Commodus, who is the ambitious son of the Emperor Marcus Aurelius, murders his father and seizes the throne. And, of course, Maximus's wife and son get killed as well. Reduced to slavery, Maximus becomes a gladiator and rises through the ranks of the arena, determined to avenge the murders of his family and the Emperor. So what do we describe about this film then? So I think this film has an absolutely phenomenal cast of actors. So the main character, of course, which is Maximus, is played by Russell Crowe. And Maximus is easily my all-time favourite role of Russell Crowe. He's a great actor, my favourite New Zealand actor of all time. And I personally think that in this film, he did a really amazing job playing Maximus in this film. He was absolutely amazing in the role. And he played him so well. He made him a likeable character, well written, I must also add. And definitely a great example of a protagonist that everyone should look up to, of course, when it comes to writing a character, because he goes through so much in this film, and it makes him who he is, of course, throughout, because of the amazing development that he has. The writing for his character, in my opinion, is amazing. And it's definitely something we should definitely look up to, of course, when writing the stories of characters, because I personally think they really nailed his character in this film, and Russell Crowe's performance was absolutely phenomenal. And he definitely deserved his Oscar that he won for his film for Best Actor, 100% in my opinion, because his performance was absolutely incredible in this film. And he played him so well in this film. As well as Russell Crowe, the film also has other great cast members too. So when it comes to a film's main villain, Commodus, he's of course played by Joaquin Phoenix. And Joaquin Phoenix did an absolutely phenomenal job playing Commodus in this film, because he made him such a despicable villain, in my opinion. Because he made him into a complete and utter psychopath as a character, in my opinion. And Joaquin Phoenix just absolutely nailed it, in my opinion. He's a great actor. And I think as Commodus, he was absolutely brilliant in the role. He made him such a despicable character, a character you love to hate as well, because while of course he's a despicable character, very unlikable, Joaquin Phoenix does such a great job making him such a great villain, in my opinion, who you love to watch because how great a villain he is. And of course, and he wants to, of course, gain lots of power, and he'll do so via any means necessary. For example, he kills his own father. Like, that just shows you how brutal he is. He'll do anything to gain his power. Like, nothing stands in his way. That's how brutal he is as a character. As well as that, I also definitely love Connie Nielsen as Lucilla. I think she did a great job playing Lucilla. It's probably my favourite role of her. She's a great actress. And I also mentioned Oliver Reed earlier because he unfortunately passed away during production of his film. I definitely really loved him in his film as Proximo. He was definitely, in my opinion, also a great character, a very wise character who of course, buys Maximus in North Africa. And he mentors Maximus and Juba. I'll get to Juba in a second. And I think he did a really great job playing Proximo in this film. Sadly, this was his final film because he passed away during production, so rest in peace to him. And I will say that for what it is worth, they did a really great job with editing for his film to include his character, of course, and work around Oliver passing away, because they used outtakes of him from filming the film, and also as well they used body doubles as well. And in my opinion, they did a really good job because it wasn't distracting at all. Like, I honestly couldn't tell when watching the film and rewatching it that they used body doubles because they made it so convincing, like it was genuinely filmed with Oliver Reed, in what he unfortunately passed away. I think they did a really great job with it, in my opinion. And he was really good, and rest in peace to him. He was so good in this film as Proximo, did a great job playing him. I also as well love Jaimon Hansa in this as Juba, who of course is the Numidian gladiator who of course becomes Maximus' closest friend in this film. Juba, in my opinion, was a great character, really fun to watch, and Jaimon Hansa did a brilliant job. I personally think Jaimon Hansa is a really underrated actor who deserves a lot more love, and I think Juba is definitely one of his best roles of all time. When it comes to Marcus Aurelius, the Emperor, of course, who Commodus kills, of course, I definitely really love Richard Harris, may he rest in peace, as Marcus Aurelius. I think he did a brilliant job playing him in this film, made him also a kind and wise character. And despite only appearing at the beginning of the film because he gets killed by his own son, he was still, in my opinion, a great character, one who was really fun to watch. And his interactions with other characters were great to watch as well, which was definitely great to see. Sadly, of course, he ended up dying as well at the beginning of the film, where his own son choked him to death by hugging him, which was definitely a very brutal and unique death that the film did, really. So, nothing I've really seen before when watching films. But he was definitely a great character nonetheless, though. The film also has other great supporting actors in this as well. So, for example, you also got Derek Jacobi in this film as the Senator Gracchus. I think he did a very good job playing him in this film and was a great ally to Lucilla and to Maximus. And I also as well liked Ralph Mahler as Hagen, who is the Germanic warrior and Proximo's chief gladiator. He was definitely a good character as well in this film. And also as well Tommy Flanagan as Cicero, and also David Schofield as Senator Falco. And among others too, like also as well Spencer Treat Clark as Lucius, who is of course Lucilla's son as well. I thought he was really good in this as well. And as well as this great cast of actors, just to name a few, I also don't think the film has an absolutely fantastic story, in my opinion, because the film is just laid out with so many great moments, in my opinion, which are so great to watch, in my opinion, just incredible. Like, there's lots of really awesome battle scenes. The film even kicks off with an epic battle, which is just how you start a film, and it picks up a pace right from the start, which I really appreciate it doing. And even in the scenes where there's not really much action, just kind of talking, it's still great to watch, in my opinion, because of the great actors making the scenes so amazing, in my opinion. Just absolutely fantastic. And there's also, as well, like, the scenes in the Gladiator Arena, which is definitely really great to watch as well in this. And the film is just full of so many great moments, which makes it so well-paced. And I also, as well, rewatched the film's extended edition for this review, so I could see the whole thing for this video. And I definitely think the extended version is great because it includes more scenes, which I definitely really appreciated doing to give us a complete movie. And it also adds more to the runtime with an extra 20-odd minutes, of course, so it's 9 minutes shorter, being 3 hours. But in my opinion, even that is paced really well, in my opinion, too, because it doesn't feel boring whatsoever. The film is not boring at all, in my opinion, even on the extended version. Because in my opinion, it's got lots of great action scenes which keep the pace going, with great actors as well, acting out really amazing scenes. So that keeps the pace going, doesn't feel boring whatsoever or too long, despite being nearly 3 hours extended version. I think, in my opinion, it's paced really well. Even the theatrical version, which has once had 155 minutes, is paced really well, in my opinion, too, as well, I might add. While the extended version of 171 minutes is still also, in my opinion, paced really well. Another great thing about this film for me is also, as well, definitely for me, the musical score, which is composed by one of my favourite composers of all time, which is the absolute legend, Hans Zimmer. He's, in my opinion, a phenomenal composer, and this soundtrack is probably, in my opinion, one of his greatest he's ever composed, because it's, in my opinion, a really intense soundtrack, a very emotional soundtrack. And I also, as well, absolutely love this film's credit song, which is, of course, called Now We Are Free, which he composed with vocals sung by the vocalist Lisa Gerrard. Like, it's such a beautiful and tear-jerking song, in my opinion, and very memorable. Just such an iconic theme song in movie history, one that's very recognisable, just great to listen to. And it definitely, of course, adds to the emotional ending for the film as well, in my opinion, too, as well. As well as that, the film also has lots of great iconic quotes, like, for example, in the scene, of course, where Maximus, of course, is in the arena and fighting, we get a very iconic quote, of course, which is in you know, this scene here, like on this card that came in my steelbook, where, of course, he yells out, "Are you not entertained?" Which is definitely, in my opinion, a very iconic quote. One of the greatest quotes in cinematic history, one that's been well remembered for, of course, for 25 years since this film released. It's still really shocking how this film is going to be 25 years old this year. It's crazy, because in my opinion, it's timeless in every possible way. Because this film also, as well, doesn't really use very much CGI. It's more so like practical stuff when it comes to its visuals. And that's why I'd say this film holds up phenomenally. Because despite being 25 years old, it doesn't feel old in any possible way. And because it's, of course, set in ancient Rome, it can help preserve this whole timeless feel, because it's not set, of course, in a time period, of course, which could age poorly, thankfully. This is a time period where it can age really well, or because it takes place in ancient Rome. And I personally think they did a phenomenal job making this film feel timeless and not dated whatsoever. And as well as that as well, I think the characters, in my opinion, were portrayed really well when it comes to a story. And I think that's the characters. The story was absolutely fantastic to watch, in my opinion. And the story, of course, of Maximus wanting revenge is definitely, in my opinion, really amazing. And it all of course, ends with an epic final fight between him and Commodus. And what I really appreciate about Maximus is, even though he does get mortally wounded by Commodus before the fight even starts, because he stabs him while he's chained up before the fight, he still, of course, defeats Commodus in the fight. Like, he's proof that you can, of course, achieve your goal, even if, of course, you have setbacks, in which, in his case, of course, he was mortally wounded, but he was able to, of course, defeat Commodus. And because of how despicable Commodus was as a villain, of course, killing his own father and Maximus's family when they refused to serve him, you know, his defeat when Maximus, of course, defeats him in the arena is so satisfying to watch. And I've got to give lots of praise to Joaquin Phoenix for making Commodus such a despicable villain, and one that you love to hate and you love to see get defeated. Because he made the defeat so satisfying to watch with his incredible performance as a villain, because he did such a brilliant job making him so despicable. So I've got to give lots of praise to Joaquin Phoenix for that. And Russell Crowe was definitely amazing as Maximus as well in that final fight. You can tell that Maximus was so eager for revenge in that final fight, and Russell Crowe absolutely nailed it in that final fight, 100%. And the film also has, as well, in my opinion, a very emotional ending which perfectly closes the story, because after, of course, Maximus defeats Commodus in a very satisfying defeat, he does unfortunately succumb to his wounds, but he's able to tell Lucilla that Lucius is safe before he passes away. And then he has a vision where he sees his wife and son, and he reunites with him in the afterlife, and his friends and allies honour him, of course, as a soldier of Rome, and his body's carried out of the arena respectfully. And that night we then see Juba going back to the Colosseum, and he buries the figurines of Maximus' wife and son at the spot where Maximus died. Right there, that, in my opinion, was just how you wrap up a story beautifully. You tie all loose ends, and that's how you do it right there. And it gave a perfect ending to a story right there, and I did not see any sequel baiting whatsoever at all in this ending. In my opinion, it's ended absolutely perfectly, absolutely, with nothing set up after it at all. Yeah, in my opinion, this film is an absolute masterpiece. One of the greatest films of all time, one of the most influential films of all time, revolutionary for its time, with, like, many iconic things in it, like I want to mention I Not Entertained, and also the great fight scenes, the great acting, the great characters. Even, like, things characters do in the film have been repeated in its legacy. For example, of course, the scenes where the character's walking in the fields and they're touching the grass, that's been repeated in lots of things later on. So it just shows you how iconic this film is. It's absolutely legendary, in my opinion. And I don't have any bad qualities with this film, because I think it's, in my opinion, a timeless masterpiece that never ever gets old. I really love this film very much. So if I was to give this film a score out of 10, well, because it's one of my favourite films of all time, my favourite film from 2000, and if I had respect for this score, it would be a favourite film by him, I would give this film, for me, a full-blown 10 out of 10. My opinion, it's an absolute masterpiece. Now, if you guys were going to be asking me, will I be reviewing the sequel, Gladiator 2? My answer to that is, hell no. because I have zero interest in watching that sequel, because I've always said to myself that Gladiator was perfect as one movie. I've literally just explained now why I think the film ended beautifully with no settles whatsoever. So I am very angry they did a sequel, because when we first announced they were doing a sequel, I was furious, because this film gave a phenomenal ending to a story right there, perfectly closed it with no settles whatsoever. And the fact they did it 24 years way too late and released it last year is just ridiculous, because now no one cares anymore, because last time I checked, nobody asked for a sequel to Gladiator. I certainly didn't ask for a sequel. And based on what I've heard from reviews on YouTube about the film, it looks like a dodge a bullet, because I'm missing nothing. I've heard nothing but bad news about the sequel. Based on what I've read about its plot on Wikipedia as well, I'm very appalled by it. So that's why I have no interest in seeing or reviewing the sequel. I'll only ever review the one and only film. As far as I'm concerned, guys, there can only be one Gladiator film. Just one. So, guys, this is me, of course, doing my review for 2000's Gladiator. In my opinion, one of the greatest films of all time. So, you know the drill, guys. Be sure to give this video a like. Also, be sure to look in the comments what you guys think of Gladiator and what your thoughts are on it. Also, be sure to join Team Prime by pressing subscribe and reviews to come in the future. And what we do in life echoes in eternity.